Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Many are my old friends, and I see some new friends, and we can know each other later. Today, I'm first doing the presentation on behalf of Professor Geng. He gave his slides several days before, and here's so many research findings and publications, so I think it's not easy for me to explain all of them. The version he gave me is 50 slides and about more than 40 publications. I think, wow, that's too much. So these days I try to make it into less than 30 ones. So I will try to do that. Yeah. Forgive me if I didn't explain in the details. Okay, it's about the indicators and metrics. It is surely very important to have the indicators for managing the circular economy things and also the low carbon emissions, the sustainable development. We need the indicators to see how we are doing these things. So in Professor Geng's research, he wants to explain how to evaluate and what are the constraints. The keywords of his research of sincere project can be seen in this figure. They are about the carbon emission accounting, the emerging synthesis. The emerging, the old friends may know Professor Geng this is one of his key research fields. And also the resource management. Others include the industrial symbiosis, the eco-industry analysis. These all keywords, the researches cover the national level and also the regional level, and covers different sectors. Okay, so following will be some publications. I will try to explain to you and let you know the key findings of Professor Geng's group. This one is about the the carbon emissions accounting in agriculture sector. We can see from the figure. This is Anhui province in China. They look at the spatial distribution of the greenhouse gas emissions produced by the agriculture sector in Anhui province. This is the greenhouse gas emissions on the right side, and these ones are the energy indicators. I look into the figure, and it says it's the energy efficiency. So these are the energy indicators in this figure. Okay, this one is about the carbon emission accounting in aluminum production in China. They also do the spatial distribution analysis of this. And here's the more than 20 provinces, the greenhouse gas emissions in the aluminum production. This one is about the cement production. We can see the greenhouse gas emission, also the spatial distribution. And in this figure, I think is very interesting finding that we can see most of the cement, the facilities located in the eastern part of this line. I don't know how many of you know this line. It's called the Huhan-Yong line. The population density in the eastern part of this part is higher than the western part. So that is probably why the cement production, the capacity located more in this district. And also the cement capacity is found focused on this is the Silk Round Economic Belt. That is what they found. This research is done by my group. Yeah, it's about the greenhouse gas emission in the textile industry. We look at the energy sources of the textile industry. So they are mainly from the coal and electricity. We can see in this figure. And this is the spatial distribution of the greenhouse gas emission in the textile industry. We can see from this figure that the Jiangsu and Zhejiang province located most of the cement production capacities, the facilities. If we look at the greenhouse gas flow of the textile industry, we can see some processes have higher emission intensity. For example, the spinning, the wet process. If we look at the products, we can see that the clothing and the cotton textile have higher embodied GHG emission than other products. Yeah, this is what I find. This one is about the household sectors. The previous ones are about the different industry sectors, and this one is about the household sector. They take Shanghai as a case study to see how the energy consumption, how the greenhouse gas emission is in the households in Shanghai. And I think, personally, I find this is very interesting. If you look at it, the urban households has this is food cost in the urban households in Shanghai is very large. I don't know whether know your culture of Shanghai. For my understanding, they really eat delicious foods, especially the local Shanghainese. They don't mind to spend more than 5 hours to wait to enter their favorite restaurants. So that's the local culture. That's my understanding of this. Yeah, of this thing. Personally, I spent more than 6 hours to wait in the line with my Shanghainese friends. But personally, I will never do that. Yeah, yeah, that's what we find. If you look at the carbon emissions in the traffic sector, they look at the different emissions. The most one is located cost in the road, and then the trails and rails. That's what they found. And this one is the carbon emission accounting at the national level. They look at the co-benefits. What I understanding of the co-benefits, I think, is the co-benefits of the Chinese government policy of mitigation carbon dioxide. This policy have co-benefits as China also has many other air pollution issues to handle. For example, the sulfur dioxide, the nitrogen dioxide things. So they are using the CGE model. I don't know whether they are done by researchers in Professor Raymond's group. Maybe you have cooperated this paper, as I know you have someone experts of the CGE model. So that they see that in different GDP outcomes, what are the different scenarios if they have different carbon dioxide mitigation policies. This is what about this research. This one is also interesting for my understanding, as they compare or they do the carbon footprint in the international trade. They look at the trade between China and Japan. And I find that most of these, China and Japan have exchange trade, most of the materials. But these two is only output from China to Japan. It is the plastics, if I remember right, and the textiles. Yeah, this is what about the materials they trade between each other. And this one is about the emission dependence. Not easy for me to understanding, but I guess, for my personal understanding, I think that maybe the output from China to Japan, they want to say have high embodied energy. Maybe they want to mean this. So this is why they say here the emission dependence of Japan is higher than the emission dependence of China. Yeah, what did they find in this? And this one is about the recent progress on the emergency synthesis. This figure, they want to say that this is where the researchers located doing the emergent analysis. And this, they want to say that the emergent analysis is mostly related about the sustainable analysis and other key fields. This one is about the case study in Guangxi province. I will not explain the details. And this one is about the local analysis of Shenyang province, of Liaoning province. This one is about the Taida industrial park. They also do the case study. And yeah, this one they use the emergent accounting for evaluate the urban industrial symbiosis. They want to evaluate by sharing the waste heat and other materials what they can benefit. They are using the emergent synthesis to evaluate these things. This one is the emergent accounting of international trade. I think the data source is Professor Geng has bought the trade data, so they can evaluate what are the materials that are import and output in China. So the findings they show in the picture says the China's consumption can be seen at this, and the EU's consumption. If we compare these two figures, we can see some differences. For example, that is the energy. The energy of China consumed is mostly the coal, and in EU something, yeah, is different. And also other resources, the water. This is emerging case study of the international trade of the China and the EU and the USA case. That's some obvious finding, personally, to me, that the Chinese emerging imports from the USA, the Chinese emerging exports to the USA. This is obviously larger than the import. Also, they look at the resource footprints of international trade of the BRIC countries. If we look at these figures, we can see that China and Brazil, they have relatively larger energy consumption if we compare to the other BRIC countries. That's what I find. They also look at the resource management of lithium and graphite. Yeah, this mostly consumed in the electric products. They look at the graphite produced in China are exported to many countries, and they look at the import price from different countries to China, and we can see the price from Japan is the highest. Maybe the product level is different. I don't know the detail. They also do some survey analysis. They go to the Urumqi city to ask the citizens how you understand the concept of circular economy, and we are glad to see that for example, compared to the year 2008, the local citizens are become more aware of the circular economy concept, and they are more willing to do the reduce, reuse, and recycle things. This one is about the industrial symbiosis analysis. They are doing the quantitative evaluation to evaluate the environmental benefits and the economic benefits for doing the industrial symbiosis. I think the figure here is interesting as they are counting the environmental benefits, the economic benefits, and the total benefits. If we look at the more than 20 types of the industrial symbiosis actions. This one is the industrial symbiosis for circular economy in the Tianjin Taida. Yeah, I remember it, the Tianjin Taida Industry Park. Yeah, I select more than 20 publications, but actually Professor Geng published more than 70 ones. And the journals, the list includes science, environmental science, and technology, and many other journals. So if we count how many publications Professor Geng's group are done in our sincere project, this is what they, statistic. Yeah, that's basically what Professor Geng asked me to do. Yeah, thank you.